Welcome to Canadian Justice. I'm Christine Van Gyn, and today we're discussing a recently announced 2-year cap on international student visas. The Globe and Mail has reported that at the end of December 2023, there were over 1 million international students in Canada. As Canada has welcomed more international students than any other time in history, many students have been caught up in the cost of living and housing crisis. Some students have fallen victim to bad actors like diploma mills, private colleges turning out diplomas, and often entirely dependent on international students, providing false promises about the quality of education and about the prospects of actually ever obtaining a job. Other international students may fall prey to immigration scams, where overseas agents issue fraudulent university acceptance letters, are paid by the students who then travel to Canada and then face the risk of deportation. Now, the feds have announced a 2-year cap on international student visas. Here today to discuss this are immigration lawyers Sergio Karas and Andy Semotiuk. Thank you both so much for joining me today. Now, Andy, we have a record number of international students. And as I said, the Globe and Mail has reported over 1 million as of December of last year. How does this compare to historical numbers? And I mean, what has led to this increase?
Well, it's true that we do have record numbers. It's hard to say how much of a record because the pandemic records are not clear. But in the past, generally speaking, you could say about 500,000 students were allowed per year. And you have to bear in mind that just because a student is allowed in a given year doesn't mean he's leaving or she's leaving that year. They're coming for multiple years. So that adds up in terms of the numbers that are here. But there's no doubt that 1 million is a lot of students compared to what has been the historical record. I would say at least say 25% more than what may have been the record in the past.
Sergio, is there anything you want to add to that? Perhaps, I mean, why the increase?
Yeah, well, the increase is due to the immigration policy that is promoted by the current government, which is basically the more the merrier. And this has led to an explosion, not only in international students, but on all visa categories, permanent residents, temporary work permits, and students, of course. And what's happening is that because the government has been listening to the colleges and universities, and the colleges and universities have become financially dependent on the foreign tuition fees that the foreign students pay, which is usually almost triple what permanent residents pay. So there has been let's say, an understanding between the government and the colleges and the universities, more so the colleges than the universities, though, that a lot of international students are good for the economy. The problem is that the economy of Canada can only tolerate so many people. And as you know, we have a huge housing crisis, and
Yeah.
also the trees don't go to the sky.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Andy, obviously there is this housing shortage in Canada. I mean, people who were born here struggle to find housing. So what has the experience been like for foreign students? Do they come here knowing how difficult it might be to find housing? And then how do they manage to secure it when they get here?
Well, I would say in some instances, the experience has been murder. I don't know if you've tried to find temporary housing lately in the big city markets, but I'll tell you, I personally have for students, and it's very, very difficult. It's possible, but it's difficult. And one of the key elements in that is what is the cost? Obviously, students don't want to pay like $1 million for accommodation.
Who
So you're looking
does?
at the lower ends, and the result is, well, there's a limited supply of lower rental housing, and we're in this squeeze. We've also got other people coming in. It's not just students, and you can't blame the students for this. There's a housing policy problem in terms of building houses, and there are other people coming in, such as refugees, that are also flooding the market looking for low-cost housing. So we're in this crunch. And there's no doubt about it. Not every student that's coming to Canada is aware of what they're going to be facing when
Yeah,
they get off the
absolutely.
plane.
It must be overwhelming to arrive here without the understanding that the price of housing here is just astronomical. We've got to go to commercial break now, but we're going to continue this conversation when we come back.